Right now, the search for a suspect continues after the murder of a 17-year-old in Fitchburg.
And Madison kiddos are back to school on Tuesday, but the time they start may be a bit different this year. We'll break it down ahead.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning, folks, and thanks for waking up with us on your Tuesday, August 27th. You're waking up to quite the treat. It's a beautiful one out there.
It really is, especially after the clouds yesterday. Right. So nice to see that sunshine today. Take a look. This is from our Edgewater sky camera shot. Beautiful. Ooh. With the Capitol and the pink clouds. We have clearing skies this morning already, so lots of sun in our forecast. Temperatures have been pretty steady here in Madison. We're at 62. Many spots, though, down in the 50s. Now down to 56 in Lone Rock, 58 in Watertown and the Dells, 59 in Platteville and Monroe. So a little cooler than yesterday, but a nice warm-up is expected with that sunshine and a stronger west wind today. We'll top at 75 degrees. You will probably notice that wind. It'll be 10 to 20 miles an hour, again from the west. Here's a look at your traffic maps this morning. We'll see what's happening on the roads. There is an accident. This is on I-39 northbound, right around Highway 30. So be aware of that. No delays right now, but that could slow things down in the next few minutes. Otherwise, no issues on the Beltline just yet. No other issues to report around Dane County.
Feeling a little bit like a fall morning to me, though.
It is, but temperatures are actually climbing as we head into next week. They always warm up for that first week of school.
They do. You have to sweat with your backpack on, or it's not the first day.
We still have some summer left.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
All right. If your kiddo is headed back to school, you hopefully know what day that is, but make sure you know what time they start. The Madison Metropolitan School District is switching around a number of their school start times.
Our Keely Arthur joins us live this morning to explain the reason behind that change. Good morning, Keely.
Good morning, Leah and Josh. Yes, this is something that is going to impact thousands of families because the district is in the process of shifting all of its middle school start times to later times. We are live outside of Spring Harbor. This is just one of the 3 middle schools that is shifting this year. Let's take a look at all of those middle schools. Of course, Spring Harbor, then Cherokee, Jefferson, are all shifting to that 8:40 start time, and then the elementary schools are going to be Crestwood, Hugel, and Thoreau Elementary. Those schools are shifting to a start time of 7:50 as a result. Now, district officials say the reason behind this really is improving the success of their middle school students. Officials say they aren't worried about the flip side of this, saying earlier start times for elementary schoolers isn't detrimental, and many of their elementary school students already have an early start time.
Other districts that have done this work have seen improvements in, attendance, behavior, academic performance. So we hope to see some of those same outcomes as well here in MMSD.
This decision was the result of several major surveys. According to the latest survey, overall, 67% of parents said they supported the time changes for both elementary and middle school students. 27% said they did not. And just because your student isn't impacted this year, you're still going to want to listen up. This middle school shift is going to be phased in over the next 3 years. So by 2022, all of those middle schoolers will report to school at 8:40. Back to you.
Keely Arthur live in Madison this morning. Keely, thank you.
6:03 your time now. The investigation into who killed a Fitchburg teenager continues this morning with no arrests announced yet. The Dane County Medical Examiner says 17-year-old Shay Watson was shot to death. His body was found inside a home off of South Fish Hatchery Road around 9 o'clock Sunday night. Police are asking anyone with home surveillance video in the area to contact them in case it might lead to any clues. Now, officers are not sharing any more information on their investigation, other than that they will add extra patrols to that neighborhood this week and that they don't believe the public is in danger.
Aubrey Dawkins considers Watson a brother. The Verona High School senior says ever since second grade, he and Watson have been close, playing football together and hanging out almost every day after school. He won't forget how Watson won the spelling bee at elementary school and loved taking summer trips out to the country. Dawkins says he wants Watson remembered as his friends knew him, a young man who loved his job working with kids at a daycare and one who wanted to grow up and get higher education so he could come back and help out his community.
When I think about Shay, I always just remember his smile. Anytime you see him, literally anytime, any place, he's always smiling, always laughing about something, always making jokes. He's a great guy to have around. He just lightens up the mood in the room.
Before playing in Verona, Watson played football at Madison West High School and was planning to go to West this year. Dawkins says one thing on his mind this morning is how important it is to tell your friends and family you love them.
Breaking news into the Channel 3000 Alert Center overnight. Sauk County deputies are investigating a death in Sauk Prairie. Officers are only telling us this is an active death investigation. They haven't shared any details on the circumstances surrounding that death. Now, this is very much a developing story this morning. We will, of course, be sharing more information as we learn it right here on News 3 Now and over on channel3000.com. Also into the Channel 3000 Alert Center, a decision on the future of Edgewood's football field is postponed after a 7-hour-long meeting overnight.
Hundreds of people showed up to speak at that meeting, some for and some against the ordinance to repeal the master plan. Now, there are about 5 years left of that plan, but in repealing it, the school would be able to go to standard zoning practices for its football stadium. Last week, Mayor Sati Rhodes Conway said she would no longer sponsor the ordinance after Edgewood filed a federal lawsuit against the city. Other ordinance talks at the meeting were about zoning changes, but since there were a lot of questions on that, the commission decided to refer that to their next meeting to have some time to look at it further. The decision will be postponed until a meeting on September 16th. Looking ahead now, a new group is being recommended to continue the work on the Judge Doyle Square project downtown. This was decided last night when the city's Joint Finance Committee terminated plans with Gebhardt Development, who had been chosen to finish the project back in June. A member of the Finance Committee said the group has had concerns about time and costs associated with the build and is recommending Stonehouse Development to continue the work. That recommendation now moves to the full council.
An Iowa County intersection is seeing a big uptick in crashes since construction started along Highway 151. Yesterday, we told you that intersection saw 4 crashes in a single hour over the weekend. Now we're learning technology is complicating the flow of traffic in that area. The Iowa County Sheriff says even though there are signs telling people to take the recommended detour through Dodgeville, apps like Google Maps are sending them through County Highway YZ, where they have to cross a busy 151.
Google Maps, the electronic mapping services, are sending people in those into that intersection, and we would rather that not happen, but we unfortunately don't have control over Google Maps or other entities like that. We're hoping we can get some help.
So when we first looked into this issue a month ago, the DOT said there have been 5 crashes there. Right now, that number is up to 25. The DOT also recently looked into making YZ a right turn only or adding stop signs to US 151, but they think both of those options would just make that intersection more dangerous.
Looking ahead now, a man who pushed for Minnesota's hands-free driving law says he wants to take his fight to Wisconsin. Thomas Getz lost his pregnant daughter to an alleged distracted driver in February 2016 near Stillwater, Minnesota. Getz spent the next 3 years lobbying to make it illegal for drivers to use a cell phone or other electronic device while behind the wheel there. The new law took effect August 1st, making Minnesota the 19th state with that law. We've reported on how the move then prompted Hudson, Wisconsin to enact their own hands-free ordinance, and now Getz plans to push for a similar Wisconsin law within the next year.
Happening today, if you're planning on using the interstate at all, you're going to want to watch your speed. The Wisconsin State Patrol will be conducting aerial speed enforcement across Dane County. Officers say they'll be looking for speeding, tailgating, or any other dangerous driving behaviors.
A welcome back event for teachers and school staff in Madison is discussing the district's administrative goals with teachers and staff, including those that encourage racial equity. This year, the district set a goal to ensure all African American children and youth, including those who are multiracial and multi-ethnic, excel in school. Speakers at an event Monday said it's important to encourage Black excellence in the classroom.
Meanwhile, the Sun Prairie School District is tackling bullying with a new task force this morning. The district's task force on student behavior and bullying was made after back-to-back fights at a Sun Prairie school. It will identify issues and solutions for those behaviors, not only to protect those getting bullied, but also those doing the bullying.
There could be issues that we absolutely could help solve if we knew what they were. Bringing the parents to the table allows us to do that.
This new task force is talking about an ordinance that would notify parents if their child bullies another student. It's going to be on the table at Sun Prairie's next city council meeting on September 3rd. The district's task force will meet again shortly after that on September 16th.
All right, coming up on 610 on a Tuesday morning, studies show a lot of people aren't saving for retirement like they should be. Coming up, how state leaders are trying to help more Wisconsin residents save for the future.
And Hattie's got a great forecast for us today, really turning the corner on yesterday's rainy weather. Take a look at that beautiful sky out there. Hattie's in next after this. Thanks for watching News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio. A much quieter start this morning than we had yesterday. At least no rain in the forecast right now. Take a look at high temperatures yesterday. If you were thinking it felt a little bit like fall, you're right. Here in Madison, we did not make it out of the 60s, topping at just 68 degrees yesterday. Highs all around, though, were in the low 70s. Today should be a little bit warmer across all of southern Wisconsin. Rain totals over the last 24 hours added up to a couple tenths of an inch here in Madison. I think we had just over a third of an inch at the airport, but some higher amounts to the south and east. Some spots picking up close to an inch of rain. Again, those highest amounts were well east of Madison. Doppler track, though, this morning is pretty quiet. We still have some light rain showers rotating around the area of low pressure, which is in Canada this morning. So there is an outside chance some of those showers may move into Wisconsin later on today. Best chance, though, to see any rain actually hit the ground will be in the northern part of the state. Weather track showing you where the cold front is located, and it's to our east. Skies quickly cleared behind that front overnight, so we're waking to some sunshine. In fact, sun just coming above the horizon this morning. A beautiful sunrise underway. Not a widespread fog issue this morning, but visibility is reduced a bit in Platteville as well as Black River Falls, so be aware of those two spots that are dealing with fog this morning. Temperatures are in the upper 50s and low 60s. Not a bad start to the day at all. There will be westerly winds that will be increasing, though, heading into the afternoon. Right now, winds are around 5 miles an hour, but they'll be increasing to 10 to 20 miles an hour later on today. Temperatures should warm pretty quickly, though, with that sunshine back into the 70s by lunchtime, topping right around 75 here in Madison, maybe as warm as 78 in Janesville, 73 in Platteville. There's an outside chance for a sprinkle or two this afternoon. Definitely wouldn't cancel any plans for this evening. Just keep in mind that temperatures will be dropping a little bit more quickly. As we get to the end of August into September, those nighttime lows get a little bit cooler. We'll bottom out in the mid-50s tomorrow morning. Here's a look at your extended forecast then. Temperatures at least stay in the 70s as we go through the rest of the week. A little bit up and down. Tomorrow will be cooler and windy with a high of 70, but we're back up close to 80 on Thursday. And we do even have some 80s in that extended forecast heading into next week. Now let's get a look at those first alert traffic maps this morning with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, it is a quiet start on the Beltline this morning. Really nothing to slow you down yet in either direction at this point. Checking out some other roads here in Dane County. Just give yourself an extra minute on the northbound side of Verona Road and Stoughton Road as you approach the Beltline ramps. No delays downtown on campus, but I would plan on things getting busier over the next couple of hours. And other main routes coming into Madison, they're moving at the usual speeds with no crashes or delays. With your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Josh and Hattie, thank you both very much. New this morning, a millennial marketing campaign will continue even though Democratic Governor Tony Evers and state lawmakers are not funding it in the state budget. The campaign's goal is to get more millennials to move to Wisconsin and ads like the one you're watching right here. WPR reports that the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation requested $10 million over the next 2 years to cover the costs of continuing the campaign, which started last year under former Governor Scott Walker. Evers didn't meet that request, with GOP lawmakers also declining to push the funding during budget negotiations. However, WEDC officials say they found $4 million in other parts of the budget to fund the program during this fiscal year and the next.
Wisconsin's making another national list this morning. Wallet Hub has us in the top 20 hardest working states in the country. Wisconsin is number 20, thanks to our average work week hours, employment rate, and share of workers with multiple jobs. We came in third in that last category. Wallet Hub says North Dakota tops their list as the hardest working state. And looking ahead, state leaders are trying to help more of us save for retirement. Wisconsin Public Radio reports the state treasurer will be leading a new task force to look into ways to educate people about retirement programs and invest in new options here in the state. Her office is partnering with Governor Evers to launch a task force next month. They will meet a year before proposing new policies to the governor's office and to state lawmakers. Okay, 6:17 on your Tuesday. Chris Reese is in this morning to talk about Tropical Storm Dorian and whether it's going to impact any possible Labor Day travel spots. That's coming up after the break.
But first, a live look outside right now on a Tuesday morning. A beautiful shot of the sunrise, lots of sunshine, and 70s in store this week. Patty will have your out-the-door forecast when News 3 Now This Morning continues. 6:21 is your time on a Tuesday morning. Beautiful shot of the sunrise. Was it 6:15 was the official sunrise this morning?
6:16 or something like that.
6:16?
Close enough, though.
It's getting later.
It is, but that's our reward for getting up early, right? We get to see it every day.
That's true.
Beautiful shot this morning. A little chilly outside, though, early today. Noticing the polar bear not in the pool.
Day two.
I know. What's
going on?
It's not too cold for the polar bear to be swimming today.
He's on vacation.
Maybe so. Last week of August, we have temperatures that are starting off in the 50s and 60s, but will warm up nicely today. Take a look at our current temps. 58 in Watertown, 56 in Lone Rock. Platteville, you're starting at 59 degrees. Here in Madison, it's a little bit warmer at 62. Now, winds aren't a factor this morning, but they will be later today. As we look at your future track wind speeds this morning, around 5 miles an hour. But as we put this map into motion and head towards the lunch hour, wind speeds increase to about 10 to 20 miles an hour this afternoon. So it'll be quite breezy at times through the rest of today. Those winds will diminish, though, as we head towards the evening and the sun begins to set. Here's a look at your tee time forecast for today. If you are playing golf, anytime should be a great time today. Temperatures will climb into the mid-70s. Lots of sunshine expected through the afternoon hours. Just an outside chance for a sprinkle, but that's mainly in central Wisconsin. Otherwise, look at your extended forecast. If you can't get a golf game in today, well, you have lots of options. It'll be windy tomorrow, but lots of sun in that extended forecast with temperatures holding in the 70s. Have a wonderful day.
All right, thank you very much, Hattie. Breaking into the Channel 3000 Alert Center this morning, Puerto Rico is now under a tropical storm warning as Tropical Storm Dorian approaches that island.
It comes nearly 2 years since Puerto Rico was ravaged by hurricanes Irma and Maria. The process of rebuilding has been a slow one. The territory has been plagued by poor infrastructure, complaints of lack of support from the federal government, and most recently, political unrest. After Hurricane Maria struck the island, it's estimated that 80% of the country's agriculture was lost, over $8 billion in damage was done, and more than 3,000 people were killed. So that has a lot of people worried about the potential damage from another tropical storm.
Chris Reese is joining us this morning to talk about Storm Dorian and how strong it could get as it heads toward the island. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, guys. You know, it's very possible that Dorian could end up being a hurricane, or at least very close to hurricane strength. But one of the things we're not surprised about is the fact that Dorian exists and exists where it is. One of the things we're going to look at this morning is where tropical storms most likely develop as we head into August. One of those areas is the Gulf of Mexico. Think 2 years ago we had Harvey in the Gulf of Mexico. 14 years ago we had Katrina in the Gulf of Mexico. Both of those very known storms. Of course, you just mentioned Irma and Maria from 2 years ago. And then one of the other areas we watch is also we're talking about the northwestern Caribbean. Those often feed into those Gulf of Mexico storms. And then the third area, which is where we found Dorian, this is where we found Irma, this is where we found Maria. All of this is going to be the western side of Africa, all the way through the southeastern Atlantic or southwestern Atlantic, back towards the Bahamas and the southeastern coast. This is where Dorian is right now as we continue to track the system. 50-mile-per-hour winds right now, moving out of the west and northwest at about 13 miles per hour. The pressure, 1,005. That's fancy weather term for, all right, it's a little over 1,000 millibars of pressure right now, but still, we would call that low pressure when it comes to a hurricane or a tropical system. Now, as this begins to move towards Puerto Rico, we'll look at winds at 70 miles per hour. This is a strong tropical storm, but you want to have 74 to 75 mile per hour winds for this to become a hurricane. But even still, Puerto Rico is on the eastern side of the system. We call that the dirty side of a hurricane. That's where your stronger winds are. That's where your heaviest rain is going to be. So we're going to watch that closely, but let me tell you what else we're going to watch. As this begins to work its way towards the Bahamas, eventually it'll take a turn towards the Florida coastline. And check out the date. This is Sunday at 6 a.m. This is the last weekend for a lot of folks to take a lot of summer vacations. Of course, it's Labor Day weekend, and Florida oftentimes is a quick little vacation destination for that one last hurrah, if you will. And so with the threat of a tropical system making landfall on the Atlantic side of the Florida coast, of course, we're going to be watching this very closely into the weekend.
So you said we're actually a little bit farther along in the season than we thought.
Yeah, so typically on average at this point, we're still on the B or C name. So the fact that we're at the D name actually means that we're above average or above normal. But still, yes, things have been very quiet going through August, don't get me wrong. Typically, though, it's September that we truthfully begin to see that peak of the tropics, and I think we're watching that happen now.
There's still a lot of season left,
Yes,
too.
there is. We go all the way through November 30th.
Certainly something you'll keep an eye on.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Chris.
My pleasure.
Just ahead for us, we've got the top 3 things you need to know before you head out the door on this Tuesday morning.
And your student might get to sleep in a little this school year with new start times for some Madison schools. We'll explain when News 3 Now This Morning returns.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now This Morning.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for staying with us on this Tuesday, August 27th, 6:30 in the morning, just a few minutes past that sunrise, which is a spectacular one this morning.
It is, especially since we didn't get to see it yesterday. Skies are clear. You can see on the Edgewater sky cam. A lot of sun in that forecast today and warmer temperatures.
Some good news there, yes.
Yeah, we'll check in with Hattie's forecast in just a second. But first, let's get you caught up on the top 3 things you need to know this morning. First, we still do not have a final decision on the future of Edgewood's football field after a 7-hour-long city meeting overnight. Hundreds of people showed up to speak, some for and some against an ordinance to repeal the school's master plan, which would allow Edgewood to rezone its fields. That decision has been postponed until a meeting next month.
To our second story this morning, to the first of a ruling of its kind, an Oklahoma judge ruled against a pharmaceutical company in an opioid lawsuit. Johnson & Johnson plans to appeal a $572 million judgment finding that caused a public nuisance by aggressively marketing opioids and downplaying their addiction risks. Numerous similar lawsuits are expected nationwide.
Rounding out the top 3 this morning, the investigation into who killed a Fitchburg teenager continues with no arrests announced yet. Officers say 17-year-old Shay Watson was shot to death. His body was found inside a home off of Fish Hatchery Road around 9 o'clock Sunday night. A vigil was held last night in his memory. Police aren't sharing any more details into their investigation. Other than that, they plan to add extra patrols to that neighborhood this week, and they don't believe the public is in any danger.
6:31 right now. Those are your top 3 things to know. And Hattie's here now with what you need to know with weather and traffic. Good morning, Hads.
Good morning, Josh and Leah. Well, what you need to know is that sunshine is back today. Take a live look from the Edgewater Skycam. Downtown Madison, sun shining on the buildings. A nice start to the day today. Temperatures are right around 60 in many spots, although Lone Rock is a little cooler with 56. It's 58 in the Dells and Watertown, 61 in Janesville and Mineral Point, and 62 here in Madison. Winds are pretty light from the west this morning, but they will be increasing as we go through the day. Kind of breezy this afternoon with a high of 75 and those west winds at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Here's a look at your first alert traffic maps this morning. There is an accident report on the northbound side of I-39. This is right near Highway 30. Not seeing any delays just yet, but there could be some forming if they don't get that accident cleared within the next hour. No other major delays, though, to report on the Beltline. Looks like travel into Madison is still going at posted speeds. And that's your first alert traffic.
Thank you very much, Hattie. All right, we are 1 week away from the start of school for Madison kids. And this year, the district is making some major start time changes at a number of its schools.
Keely Arthur joins us live with what those changes are and the reason behind this move. Good morning, Keely.
Good morning, Josh and Leah. Yeah, getting up for the first day of school is always pretty difficult, but this year maybe even more so. That's because a number of elementary school kiddos and middle school students will have shifted start times in the Madison School District. Let's take a look at what schools are being impacted. First up, Spring Harbor, which is where I am live. Jefferson and Cherokee Middle Schools, those students now have to report at 8:40 a.m. As a result, 3 elementary schools will now have an earlier start time of 7:50. Those schools are Crestwood, Hugel, and Thoreau Elementary. Now, district officials say the reason behind this is really improving the success of their students. The district cites research that more sleep and later start times can help everything from test scores to attendance in middle schoolers. Officials say they are not worried about the flip side of this, saying earlier start times for elementary schoolers isn't detrimental, and many of their elementary school students already report early.
And in our focus groups, for instance, when we have both middle school and elementary school parents, middle school parents will tell you without question that they feel that their elementary school children are much better able to equip an early start time, are much better equipped to handle an early start time than their pre-adolescents or pre-adolescents.
Now, this decision was a result of several major surveys. According to the latest one done by the district, overall, 67% of parents say they supported the time changes for both elementary and middle school students. 27% said they did not. And just because your student isn't being impacted this year, this is going to be rolled out over the course of 3 years. So by 2022, all middle schoolers will have that 8:40 start time. And for a breakdown of which schools are having those shifts and which years, we have all of that information up on our website, channel3000.com. Back to you.
All right, Keely Arthur live in Madison this morning. Keely, thanks.
Still ahead this morning, the Brewers are struggling to get ahead as the postseason draws near, and their game against the Cardinals last night didn't really help. We'll have that recap for you up next.
And speaking of the Brewers, Christian Yelich is ditching his uniform for an appearance on a revealing issue in Sports Illustrated. We'll talk all about it on News 3 Now this morning.
All right, folks, this is the time of morning we always ask you to share your morning with us. And take a look at the gorgeous one Carla sent in of her drive into Madison. Just a beautiful, beautiful shot of the sky.
I love the sunshine-filled shots, and I think we're going to have a lot more of those this week, which is good.
Carla here finding the silver lining in the clouds. I love it.
Thank you so much for sharing, Carla. If you've got a photo you'd like to share with us, all you have to do is snap a pic and put it right to our social media pages. With only 30 games left in the regular season, this week's Brewers-Cardinals series is pretty important.
Oh, yeah. Coming into last night at 4.5 games behind the Cardinals in the standings, things got off to a bad start. The Cardinals scored 8 runs in the first 2 innings, including a 3-run double by Marcell Ozuna. The Brewers went on to lose 12-2, falling 5.5 games back in the division race. They are still only 2.5 back, though, in the wild card race.
Brewers slugger Christian Yelich will be out of uniform in an upcoming issue of ESPN, the magazine. He's taking part in its 11th annual body issue. The reigning National League MVP is among 15 athletes featured. The magazine features athletes posing in nearly nude images, which it says are all dedicated to the power of the athletic form. A gallery will appear online September 4th and will hit newsstands 2 days later.
And the Packers' 4th and final preseason game is Thursday night against the Kansas City Chiefs at Lambeau Field. Matt LaFleur took practice inside yesterday. Starters like Aaron Rodgers won't be playing against the Chiefs Thursday. LaFleur says starters will be fine, though, on opening night in Chicago, about a week away now.
You know, we're very intentional about charting the number of reps our guys are getting throughout practices and making sure they're getting the necessary work. So we feel good about where they are at, and you know, they'll be ready to go week 1.
The Badger volleyball team begins its season this week in the Big Ten ACC Challenge in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. The Badgers play Florida State Friday and North Carolina Saturday. The Big Ten announced that the conference coaches have picked Wisconsin as the preseason favorite to win the league title ahead of Nebraska. The Badgers' Dana Retke was preseason All-Big Ten first team, while Sidney Hilly is a second-team pick. Head coach Kelly Sheffield says his veteran roster is poised for big things.
Yeah, there is some experience right now on the court, and you know, it's a lot of people, you know, that are in their junior and senior year, and a lot of players that have been playing since early in their career. I'm sure that's been a lot of fun for people to watch them progress over their first couple years, their first 2 or 3 years, and you know, I'm sure what we're hoping is to see them taking that next step.
Love that highlight on Wisconsin women's sports teams. They're always pretty good here.
They are. Good luck to them. I'm excited to see this season.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Clear and sunny skies are in the forecast for us today and for the rest of the week, really, along with some cooler temperatures. Patty will have another look at your extended forecast coming up news on News 3 Now this morning.
Not a single cloud in the sky, folks. But first, if you have a little kid turning 3 soon, please let us know so we can show their picture on TV. Thanks for watching News 3 Now this morning. All right, Josh, it's not too hard to wake up. First of all, when I get to hang out with you and Hattie, but second of all, when we're waking up to that.
Look at that. It is nice to see that after some clouds and just kind of some gloominess to start off the week.
Just a beautiful start to our Tuesday, and there's more of that where that came from, right, Hattie?
Yeah, the sunshine is going to stick around through the day today. Nice to see it so early this morning. We missed out on that sunrise yesterday. Speaking of sunrise, you're probably noticing that it's getting later and later every day. This morning, it was at 6:16, but in a month, it's just 10 minutes to 7 before the sun comes up. And we're losing a lot of daylight on the end of the day as well. Total daylight loss so far, almost 2 hours. And we have another 3.5 hours to go before we get to the shortest day of the year on December 21st. But those minutes really start to add up as we go through the month of September. We'll lose another hour and a half by the end of the month. Here's a look at those September statistics. Temperatures begin to drop pretty noticeably as well. Normal high by the end of the month is 66 degrees with that nighttime low down in the mid-40s, although the coldest ever temperature recorded in September, 25. That was on the 22nd back in 1974. We'll keep our fingers crossed that we don't see any freezing temperatures like that this year during the month of September. We're actually going up as we start September. It starts on Sunday, and look at the temperature trend heading into that first week of September. We're back into the low 80s at least, so that's actually a little bit above normal. Today, temperatures will be a little bit warmer than they were yesterday. A cold front did move through the area, but sunshine today and a westerly wind will help those temperatures warm up a little bit more. Take a look at temps across the Midwest. It's still 71 in St. Louis. Springfield's at 69 degrees. Des Moines is pretty close to us here in Madison with temperatures in the low 60s. A little bit closer look at our viewing area, and here are the numbers. 57 in Juneau this morning. We have 61 in Janesville, 56 in Lone Rock. Prairie du Chien is at 61 degrees as well. Not a bad start to the day at all. Winds are pretty light right now from the west-southwest. They will be increasing though as we head through the day. By the time you get to the lunch hour, we're looking at 10 to 20 mile an hour wind. Your future track forecast model though showing you that a lot of sunshine is expected today. Temperatures will already be back into the 70s by lunchtime. Now, there is an outside chance for a few sprinkles to pop up this afternoon, mainly north of Madison, although your chances of seeing those sprinkles pretty slim today. Wouldn't cancel any plans for the evening. It looks great at 7 o'clock. Temperatures will be dropping into the 60s though, and then we'll bottom out in the 50s overnight. So a little bit cooler tomorrow morning. Here's a look at that extended forecast. We have temperatures that at least stay in the 70s. We are a little up and down though. Tomorrow quite windy with a high back to around 70, and then we're up closer to 80 on Thursday. Lots of sunshine though and pretty quiet weather as we head into the upcoming holiday weekend.
Oh.
Here's Zachary in Albany. 75 degrees today with sunshine. Perfect day for a walk.
Big fan of the name.
Zachary loves the sunshine, I think, too.
I think so.
Cutie.
All right, Hattie, thank you.
You're welcome.
Stay with us. The Morning Sprint is up next. But first, here's Gail King with what's ahead at 7. Good morning, Gail.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS this morning, Tropical Storm Dorian reaches the eastern Caribbean, heading right smack towards Puerto Rico. Oh no, we'll have the latest as it moves closer to the U.S. Plus, you will hear firsthand accounts of how mass shootings changed the lives of 4 people, including a mother of a Sandy Hook little girl who died that day, and a woman who lost her father in this month's El Paso attack.
There's times I still pick up my phone ready to call my dad.
Your dad.
And I can't. And I had to put the phone back down.
I have a right to see my daughter enter 8th grade this fall, and I don't get to do that.
We'll have more of their emotional stories, the lasting effects, and how the families say they figure out a way to go on. We'll see you at 7 o'clock.
6:51, time for the morning sprint with the most local news to get your Tuesday started.
We begin with breaking news into the Channel 3000 Alert Center overnight, where Sauk County deputies are investigating a death in Sauk Prairie. Officers are only telling us this is an active death situation. They haven't shared any details on the circumstances surrounding this death. They say they'll provide more information later this morning. We'll be sharing that information as we learn it here on News 3 Now and over on channel3000.com.
There is still no one in custody in connection with the homicide of a Fitchburg teenager this weekend. The Dane County Medical Examiner says 17-year-old Shay Watson was shot to death. His body was found inside a home off Fish Hatchery Road just after 9 o'clock Sunday night. A vigil was held in his memory last evening. Police are still not sharing any more information this morning, but they don't believe the public is in danger.
If you have a student in Madison, you'll want to listen up. The district is shifting a number of its school start times, including this school right behind me, Spring Harbor Middle School. The other schools include Cherokee and Jefferson Middle Schools. All those middle schools will shift to 8:40, and elementary schools Crestwood, Hegel, and Thoreau will shift to 7:50. The district says the reason behind this is to improve students' performance in attendance and testing. For more details on all the schools impacted over the next 3 years, head to our website.
Keely, thank you. The Sun Prairie School District is tackling bullying. The district's new task force on student behavior and bullying was made after back-to-back fights at a Sun Prairie school. It will identify issues and find solutions for those behaviors, not only to protect those getting bullied, but also those doing the bullying.
We still do not have a final decision on the future of Edward's football field after a 7-hour-long city meeting overnight. Hundreds of people showed up to speak last night, some for and some against an ordinance to repeal the school's master plan, which would allow Edgewood to rezone its fields. The decision has been postponed until a meeting next month.
Tropical storm Dorian is headed towards the island of Puerto Rico and expected to develop into a hurricane. $8 billion of damages were left behind after Hurricanes Irma and Maria hit the island 2 years ago. Dorian is expected to reach the island tomorrow. A tropical storm warning is already in effect.
And this morning here in southern Wisconsin, we have just a little bit of patchy fog in Platteville with visibility less than a mile. Fog is not an issue for the rest of the region. Temperatures will climb this morning through the 60s, back into the 70s today, topping at 75 degrees. There will be a west wind, though, rather breezy at times at 10 to 20 miles per hour.
Patty, thank you. Brazil says it will turn down the $22 million of aid being offered to them. The country's foreign minister has said that the money isn't needed since other international programs are in place to fight deforestation. Brazil is denying that the fires are out of control. The country currently has 85% more fires burning than this time last year, up to nearly 81,000.
In the first ruling of its kind, an Oklahoma judge wants Johnson & Johnson to pay $500 million for its role in the opioid epidemic. The pharmaceutical company plans to appeal that decision that says it aggressively marketed opioids and downplayed their addiction risks. A number of similar lawsuits are expected nationwide.
Actress Lori Loughlin and her husband are set to appear in a Boston courtroom today for a hearing related to the charges against them in the college admissions scam. Loughlin and her husband have pleaded not guilty to charges of conspiracy to commit fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Each charge is punishable by up to 20 years in prison.
Republican Congressman Sean Duffy is resigning next month. Duffy represents northern Wisconsin and posted that announcement on his Facebook page. He says he wants to spend more time with his family. He recently learned that his 9th child, due in October, has a heart condition and will need more love, time, and attention. Congressman Duffy's last day will be September 23rd.
With only 30 games left in the regular season, this week's Brewers-Cardinals series is an important one. The Brewers didn't get off on the right foot last night, allowing 8 runs in the first 2 innings. The Brewers went on to lose 12-2, falling 5.5 games behind the Cardinals in the division's race. They still are only 2.5 back in the wild card race.
The Packers' 4th and final preseason game is Thursday night against the Kansas City Chiefs at Lambeau Field. Head coach Matt LaFleur says starters like Aaron Rodgers will not be playing on Thursday. LaFleur says despite the lack of action in that preseason, the starters will be just fine on opening night in Chicago 1 week from now.
If you are planning on using the interstate today, you'll want to watch your speed. The Wisconsin State Patrol will be conducting aerial and ground-based speed enforcement in Dane County today. Officers will be looking for speeding, tailgating, and other dangerous driving behaviors.
All right, 6:56 now. Let's turn it over to Josh Tim with a look at your first alert traffic. Hey, Josh.
Hey guys, starting to pick up westbound on the Beltline between Stoughton Road and West Broadway with a few minute delay, and the amount of brake lights will probably continue to grow over the next hour or so. The usual slowdowns are beginning to show up on inbound John Nolan at Rimrock and then again at Olin Avenue heading into the downtown area. And any other main routes coming into Madison, they're moving at the usual speeds with no major crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you very much, Josh.
And we've been treated to a beautiful sunrise this morning. Skies are clear as you start your Tuesday. Temperatures are near 60 this morning, but will climb to highs in the mid-70s this afternoon. Look for a west wind to be increasing through the day, 10 to 20 miles an hour, making it feel a little on the breezy side this afternoon.
Ooh, looking forward to all that sun though, Hads.
Yes, it'll be nice to see that sunshine today. We do have a lot of sun in the upcoming forecast as well, and temperatures at least stay in the 70s.
Love it. Thank you very much.
And thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Go make it a great Tuesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.